elated to host you today, sir. We welcome you. Over to you, Professor.
Honorable Principal Dr. Singh, Dr. Harinderjeet Kaur Chawla, and of course I would say above all the students, because it is for the students and of the students. See, these academic functions, they are only for the sake of the students and for the students only. And therefore I would put the students above all the categories of the teaching, whether it is at principal level, whether it is at the professor level, or any other level, the students above categories. So I put them above all these categories. In any case, much has been said about me. I would say very humbly that I do not deserve that much praise, because what I have done in my life is only one thing, that I took my class very regularly. That is the only thing. I think you could have finished with one sentence only, that he had been taking his class regularly, not missing the class any time. That is the only achievement that I had. So therefore, I do not know how much I would be justifying. In fact, I was listening to the principal also, you were saying that he is very curious to know what is the contribution of mathematics and mathematics people, to the country's freedom struggle. And see, regarding the topic also, I think the topic has been written as India's freedom struggle, because it is not basically at the moment talk about India, because at that time when the freedom struggle was going on, see, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India, they were one, and see, these three were one country, So therefore, the topic that originally, of course, I talked about was that it should be country's freedom struggle, because it was only after that when, see, at the time of independence, the country was divided into two parts, and then Pakistan was divided into two parts, and therefore these three countries, they came out. Otherwise, it was only one united country. See, that was called India. Friends, we have all gathered here to become a part of the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which is an initiative of the Government of India to celebrate and commemorate 75th anniversary of India's independence, and thus 75 years of progressive India and the glorious history of its people, culture, and achievements. The Mahotsav is also being celebrated as a Jan Utsav in the spirit of Jan Bhagidari. The Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi inaugurated the curtain-raiser activities of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav on 12th March 2021 by flagging off Dandi March from Sabarmati Ashram, Ahmedabad. The celebration started 75 weeks before our 75th anniversary of independence, which we achieved on 15th August 1947. The aim of this Mahotsav is to remember every important moment of our freedom movement and to build the future with new energy, with a view to strengthen the roots of democracy through the Constitution of India. The Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav means elixir of the energy of independence, elixir of inspiration of the warriors of freedom struggle, elixir of new ideas and pledges, and elixir of Atmanirbharta. Therefore, this Mahotsav is a festival of awakening of the national spirit, festival of fulfilling the dreams of good governance, and the festival of global peace and development. At Vigyan Prasar, an autonomous institution under the Department of Science and Technology, it was decided to celebrate the contribution of Indian scientists, science communicators, mathematicians, and teachers during India's independence movement. It was felt that people think scientists and mathematicians are restricted to laboratories and their books, and they have no link to the outside world. It was also felt that people in general are not aware of the contribution made by scientists and mathematicians in the Indian freedom struggle. In fact, people of the country are not aware of its scientific history and tradition, and so is the world. And along with the contribution of Indian scientists and mathematicians in the Indian freedom struggle, there should be an attempt to present these before the country and the world. One of the greatest scientific strategists was none other than Mahatma Gandhi himself. He was a remarkable practitioner of scientific strategies. When we talk of non-violence and satyagraha, then non-violence and satyagraha can also be interpreted as a silent biological warfare along the colonial ruler who were trying to use the ammunition of violence to suppress the colony subjects. How cleverly Mahatma Gandhi used non-violence as scientific tool and by a biological warfare which ultimately ended with a huge success. Gandhiji would sit on fast and not consume food. This scientific resistance proved to be an effective weapon against the entire ammunition the British had at their command. The use of khadi and salt satyagraha was motivated by scientific realization. India has had a long legacy of extraordinary teachers who had immense knowledge of mathematics and astronomy. Mathematics and mathematicians had tremendous impact on the country freedom movement. During 1939 to 45, the time of the Second World War, India was also involved as a part of British Empire. An entirely new branch of mathematics operational research came into being, and revolutionary progress was made into the other emerging areas like computer science and statistics. Mathematicians, as you all know, are very logical in their approach. Therefore, all those mathematics people who were playing their roles in the country's freedom struggle in one form or the other started using these new developments and researches in these new branches of mathematics to intensify their movement. I have learned that there were stories about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose that how he, along with his men, using simple arithmetic, confused and befooled British army people and ran away many times before being caught by them. This way, mathematics and further researches in it and its allied areas unveiled its potentiality for carrying out the struggle for achieving the independence of the country. However, the instant use of mathematics for the nation at that time was the peacetime development during the post-time reconstruction after the Second World War. In any case, I hereby focus my attention on the contribution of two mathematics teachers who played their vital role in the country's independence movement. One is, of course, Bal Gangadhar Tilak from 1856 to 1920, and second is Surya Sen, 1894 to 1934. The photographs are with you. I will explain about firstly Bal Gangadhar Tilak, then of course about Surya Sen I will talk about. Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Keshav Gangadhar Tilak, popularly known as Bal Gangadhar Tilak, was born on 23rd July 1856 in a Marathi Hindu Chittapavan Brahman family in Ratnagiri district, Bombay state, which is present-day Maharashtra, India. His father was a school teacher and Sanskrit scholar who died when Tilak was 16 years old. Tilak was an Indian nationalist, teacher, and independence activist. He was one-third of Lal Bal Pal triumvirate, where Lal stands for Lal Lapat Rai from Punjab, and Pal is Bipin Chandra Pal from Bengal, and of course, Bal means Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was the first leader of Indian independence movement. The British colonial authorities called him the father of Indian unrest. He was also conferred with the title Lokmanya, which means accepted by the people as their leaders. Mahatma called him the maker of modern India. Tilak was one of the first and the strongest advocates of Swaraj, means self-rule, and strong radical in Indian consciousness. He is known for his quotes in Marathi. Swaraj is my birthright and I'll have it. This is what he used to say. Gangadhar Tilak in 1877 graduated from Deccan College, Pune, with a Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics, a subject mathematics, which of course we love, mathematics with honors. He dropped out his MA program in the middle of the semester to enroll in the LLB program, earning his LLB degree from Government Law College in 1879. Bal Gangadhar Tilak began teaching mathematics in a private school in Pune after graduating. In 1880, he co-founded the New English School for Secondary Education with a few of his mates, including Gopal Ganesh Agarkar, Mahadev Balal Nam Joshi, and Vishnu Shastri Chiplunkar. Their goal was to improve the quality of education of India's youth. The school's success prompted them to establish Deccan Education Society in 1884 to introduce a national education system that taught young Indian nationalist ideas while emphasizing Indian culture. Ferguson College was established in 1885 by the Deccan Education Society for post-secondary education. Ferguson College, Bal Gangadhar Tilak taught mathematics. In 1890, Tilak left the Deccan Education Society to pursue more openly political endeavors. Tilak joined the Indian National Congress in 1890. He was one of the most eminent radicals of their time. It was the Swadeshi movement of 1905 to 1907 that resulted in the split within the Indian National Congress into the moderates and the extremists. Following the partition of Bengal, which was a strategy by Lord Curzon to weaken the nationalist movement, Tilak encouraged the Swadeshi movement and the boycott movement. Swadeshi movement first began as an economic movement, but in the gradual process, it became an important political weapon to turn down the British economy. In 1906 Calcutta session, the INC, Indian Congress, adopted the technique of boycott. On 30th April 1908, Tilak, in his paper, Kesri, defended the revolutionaries, Prafulla Chaki and Khudiram Bose, who threw a bomb on a carriage of Muzaffarpur to kill the Chief Presidency Magistrate Douglas Kingsford of Calcutta fame and called for immediate Swaraj or self-rule. The government swiftly charged him with sedition. After the trial, a special jury convicted him with a 7-2 majority. Tilak was sent to Mandala from 1908 to 1914 and in prison. During this time, he wrote the book Gita Rahasya. Tilak found the All India Home League in 1916 to 1918 with G.S. Khaparade and Annie Besant. By 1917, its membership had grown to approximately 32,000. Tilak wrote Srimad Bhagavad Gita Rahasya in prison at Mandala, the analysis of Karma Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. In 1903-2, Tilak wrote the book The Arctic Home in the Vedas. In the Orient, he tried to calculate the time of the Vedas by using the position of different nakshatras. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, before the advent of the Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi era, breathed his last after a brief illness in Bombay in the early hours of 1st August 1920. Destiny snatched him away at a relatively young age. Had he lived longer, this line, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, among Indian patriots, could have changed the course of nation's freedom struggle for the better. The funeral at Chapati beach, not far from where he lived, was attended by over 1 million people. Among the pallbearers were Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Maulana Shaukat Ali, a prominent leader of the Khilafat movement. Now I'll talk about Surya Sen, Master Da. Surya Sen was popularly known as Da. Surya Sen was the 1894 to 1934. He was a Bengali independence activist who is remembered for his daring raid on the British armory in Chittagong, now in Bangladesh, in 1930. See, that is what I was earlier to, See, this man belonged to Bangladesh. At that time, it was one country. Bangladesh in 19... A school teacher revered by all of us as Master Da, an honorific translating to a teacher and elder brother. Da means elder brother in Bengali. He was deeply influenced by nationalist ideals even as a student. Even though the Chittagong armory raid was largely unsuccessful, it demonstrated to the British the extent of people's anger against them. A brilliant strategist and charismatic leader, he was able to prevail upon the youth and in particular to join the Indian independence movement. Betrayed, Surya Sen was arrested, subjected to appalling torture, and then executed by the British, who were unable to tame his nationalist spirit. Surya Sen was born on 22nd March 1894 in Noapara, Chittagong, to Shashiwala and Ramani Ranjan Sen, a school teacher. He lost his parents at an early age and brought up by his uncle Gauri Mani, while his studies started at Doyamoi Primary School, later got admitted to Noapara, where he studied till class 8. He later joined National School where he matriculated in 1912. He first attended Chittagong College and then Behrampur College for a Bachelor of Arts degree. In 1916, where he was studying at Chittagong College, he was enthused by one of his teachers to join revolutionary activities in the quest for the country's freedom. Inspired by nationalist ideals, Surya Sen unfurled the flag of Anushilan Samiti, a revolutionary group. He became even more inspired when at Behrampur College he came into contact with the Jugantar group. In 1918, after obtaining his BA degree, Surya Sen returned to Chittagong and joined the National School Nandan Kanan as a mathematics teacher. During this period, he started establishing the presence of Jugantar group in Chittagong. He quickly made a name for himself in the society with his lofty ideals, amazing oratory skill, exceptional organizational ability, and above all, an ability to reach and connect with common people. His exalted social status as a school teacher and popularity with the local populace earned him the sobriquet of Master Da. Much influenced by the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi, Surya Sen also joined the Indian National Congress. But like many others, he too was sorely disappointed by Gandhi's decision to call off the non-cooperation movement after the notorious Chori Chora incident. With the failure of non-cooperation movement, Surya Sen came to the realization that only violent revolutionary tactics could help. He decided that for maximum impact, concrete revolutionary strikes on on British installations would be a good way to upset the British administration. Thus began the planning of an audacious strike that came to be written in the annals of Indian history as a Chittagong armory raid. While Sen was the mastermind of this mind-boggling plan, He was supported by 65 revolutionaries like Loknath Bal, Ganesh Ghosh, Ambika Chakravarti, Nirmal Sen, Anant Singh, as well as women radicals like Preeti Lata, Vadedar, and Kalpana Datta, all coming together under the banner of Indian Republic Army. While in the terms of planning and execution, the armory raid was perfect. The results were less than expected. The guns were seized, but the ammunition were not present there. Surya Sen and his gang collected whatever they could and escaped into the nearby Jalalabad hill, but not before hoisting the Indian flag and proclaiming the establishment of a provisional revolutionary government. Sen kept moving from one place to another, taking up whatever jobs he could find. Sometimes he was a workman, and at other times he was a farmer, milkman, or even a priest to escape being detected. After hiding and constantly moving from one place to another for some time, luck ran out for Surya Sen. In February 1933, betrayed by the person in whose house he had taken shelter, Surya Sen was arrested. The British brutally tortured Sen during his last days, breaking all his teeth, limbs, and joints with hammer in a bid to extract information from him. He was given death sentence and was hanged on 12th January 1934. The Chittagong uprising of 930 and Surya Sen's compelling leadership that saw large-scale participation of youth and women in the freedom struggle was responsible for rising unrest and immediate independence for the country. Friends, I have at the moment a magazine in my hands. Of course, it is not included in whatever I got typed as a lecture. But I have say something to read for you from the magazine about Surya Sen. See, let me read that. That is मोबाइल का वो दिखाओ इधर जला दो प्लीज वेट फॉर अ मिनट प्लीज आई एम रीडिंग फ्रॉम द मैगजीन ये लाइट ये पहला बटन जला दो हाँ बस मास्टर सूर्य सेन या मास्टर दा एक अभूतपूर्व व्यक्तित्व के रूप में सामने आते हैं, लेकिन आज देश के कितने लोग जानते हैं कि वह कौन थे या उन्होंने क्या किया। अंग्रेजों को उखाड़ फेंकने के लिए चिटगांव शस्त्रागार डकैती बेशक सबसे दुस्साहसिक प्रयासों में से थी। बाद में लंबे समय तक यंत्रणा देने के बाद उन्हें फांसी पर लटका दिया गया था और विधिवत अंतिम संस्कार ना करके समुद्र में दफना दिया गया था। अपने मित्र को लिखे उनके अंतिम शब्द बेहद मार्मिक हैं। यहाँ मौत मेरे दरवाजे पर दस्तक दे रही है। मेरा मस्तिष्क अनंत की ओर उड़ा जा रहा है। ऐसे सुमुद्र, ऐसे नाजुक, ऐसे गंभीर मौके पर मैं तुम्हारे लिए क्या पीछे छोड़ जाऊं। केवल एक ही चीज जो है वो है मेरा सपना, एक सुनहरी सपना, आजाद भारत का सपना। 18 अप्रैल 1930 की तारीख ना भूलना। चिट्टगांव के पूर्वी विद्रोह का दिन। अपने दिलों के केंद्र में उन देशभक्तों के नाम लिख लो जिन्होंने भारत की आजादी की वेदी पर अपने प्राण त्याग दिए। these are the contents of the letter, which were written by Surya Sen, the great nationalist who sacrificed his life in the country's freedom struggle. See, then, friends, ये नहीं है, वो दूसरा है, वो ये भी नहीं,
ये खत्म है ना उसमें, तो फिर
नहीं लेक्चर और वो दूसरा था, देखना था।
अच्छा, तब तक आप फिर अब ये इसको कंक्लूड करो, मैं देखता हूँ।
नहीं, मैं जो है ना वो पढ़ूंगा ना, लेक्चर जो है, मतलब
लिखा हुआ नहीं,
सब लिखा हुआ है। हाँ,
तो ऐसे ही पढ़ दो फिर आप।
फ्रेंड्स, उसमें था, इसमें नहीं है। Friends, right from the days of East India Company entering in the country, initially via trading in India, and later started grabbing and taking hold of administrative machinery here on some pretext or the other. The sentiment to all these developments had started by Indians in some form or the other in different parts of the country. Later, this assumed the form of the struggle against Britishers, and that continued following two distinct lines of action, the moderate and the extremist approach. These two ways of revolutionary activities of Swadeshi movement also influenced the mathematics people who were participating in freedom struggle activities in the same way. See, mathematics people were also divided into two parts. One is the extremists, and another is moderate. The two mathematics people who had contributed their own, to in many ways to country freedom struggle. The one, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Surya Sen. I would put them into the categories of extremists. Now I'll talk about those two mathematicians, who contributed to country's independence struggle as moderates. See, on one hand, there were hardliners activities like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Surya Sen, etc., who were jailed for their revolutionary approaches, and also there were other mathematics people who were moderates and were following Gandhi's approach for expressing their anger and resentment. They were expressing their opposition to the British government using dharna, bandh and strike, and also using methods to spread anti-British ideas among the society in general. They were preaching the nationalist ideals to common man by setting themselves as examples, wearing khadi and participating in the anti-British activities. Among many such mathematician people, I would mention here two of them who followed this type of approach in the struggle for country's freedom movement and lived to see their dreams come true, the dream of India's independence, achieving independence. One is Prahlad Chunnilal Vaidya, 1918 to 2010. P.C. Vaidya, he was popularly known. Well, I was very fortunate. I had met P.C. Vaidya in one of the conferences in Gujarat. And second was Unava Venkata Vara Guchi Ramalingam, WVVB Ramalingam, 1884 to 1962. And P.C. Vaidya was 1918 to 2010. Here I mention about firstly P.C. Vaidya's contribution. See, in country's freedom struggle, P.C. Vaidya, an Indian scientist and mathematician, was born on 23rd May 1918 in Bhavanagar, Gujarat. He was in 9th standard when his father passed away. His father wrote his last wish on a slate stating that his kids should pursue college education. Vaidya went on to Mumbai for higher studies at Ismail Yusuf College. He joined the Institute of Science, formerly known as Royal Institute of Science, receiving a B.Sc degree with a major in mathematics and physics. He further pursued his M.Sc degree in applied mathematics. Just like his interest in science, he was also committed to country's freedom movement. He joined the Ahimsak Vyayam Sangh, a voluntary organization inspired by Gandhiji that fought for the country's independence. In 1937, Professor V.V. Narlikar, Vishnu Vasudev Narlikar, his complete name was, father of Jayant Narlikar, an Indian physicist who specialized in general relativity, delivered a lecture on this topic in Bombay University. Vaidya was amongst the crowd of curious listeners. He learned about the terms of general relativity and that gravitational fields of radiating and non-radiating stars could be solved by the equations of relativity. The Ahinsak Vyayansang soon came to an end because of conflicting objectives during the First World War, and Vaidya was soon searching for a steady income for his family. In 1942, P.C. Vaidya wrote to Professor V.V. Narlikar expressing his desire to study relativity. Narlikar approved this, and Vaidya immediately moved to Banaras Hindu University, BHU, Varanasi, where Narlikar was a faculty member at the School of Relativity. Vaidya was at Banaras for about 10 months. At that time, India's freedom struggle was at full steam, with Mahatma Gandhi leading the Quit India movement. The political situation was also chaotic due to World War II. Gandhiji went on a prolonged fast then, which led to a period of great uncertainty as the fast had affected his health adversely. Extremely desperate to know the development, Vaidya would eagerly wait the Hindi evening Aaj. However, amidst the whole tension, the idea of space-time geometry sprouted in his mind. Within a week, Vaidya came up with the Vaidya metric. Professor Vaidya was known amongst his colleagues and his friends as staunch follower of Gandhian principle, simplicity and honesty. Even in his old age, he used to ride bicycle. He strongly believed that for a mathematician, his brain was the best tool in itself, and research had very less dependency over resources or money. His lectures, always delivered by using chalk and blackboard, never failed to captivate his students. His memoirs of his teaching and research are titled Chalk and Duster, his tools for learning and teaching mathematics. Rather than being limited to opinions, he was quite pragmatic in living out his principle. Honesty and personal life was his another remarkable trait. According to his close aides, even during his peak hours of his scientific career, he exercised extreme prudence and wisdom in using his influence. Professor Vaidya obtained his doctoral degree in 1949, only after when he saw country achieving independence. He pressed his last on 12th March 2010, 2020 only, recently. He is remembered as a visionary educationist, very simple, very down to earth, a man wearing Gandhi Khadi Kurta, white Gandhi cap, and a preference for a bicycle. He contributed immensely to country's freedom struggle, but above all, he is most treated as a staunch follower of Gandhian principle, an academician who gave his all very coolly to nation's struggle. He is also very much known for his contribution to Vaidya metric, Vaidya Patel solution, Einstein field equation, and is remembered as an Indian scientist whose work on general relativity is equally comparable to its inventor, Albert Einstein. I'll now talk about W.V.V.B. Ramalingam. W.V.V.B. Ramalingam was an Indian independence activist. He was born on 1st November 1884 in Rampur, in the Ganjam district of the erstwhile Madras Presidency, India. He was a mathematics teacher and vice principal at Khali Kota College. Along with being a freedom fighter involved in freedom struggle activities, he was also president of the Bengal and Nagpur Railway Association and also a road contractor. Even in these associations, while discharging his duties, he used to motivate his fellow colleagues, the national spirit and the national ideals, and used to inspire them in some form or the other to participate and contribute to country's freedom. Ramalingam expired on 7th April 1962 at the age of 78. However, his soul rested in peace to see that the country has achieved independence after a long, hard-fought struggle and tedious, tough series of movements. Such are the great patriots belonging to mathematics who sacrificed their lives in the struggle for the country's freedom. We are all proud of them. Proud also of the great mathematical heritage of our country. We all are proud that our independence was achieved by non-violence means. I am remembered of Desi Humne Azadi Bina Khadak Bina Dhal Sabarmati ke Sant Tune Kar Diya Kamal. We all are proud that we belong to that subject, mathematics, of course, the evolution and development of which in the world is as old as the human civilization. We all are proud that we belong to a country, the philosophy of which is to think the whole world as one family, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. We all are proud that we belong to a country which has completed administering more than 100 crores corona vaccines during this time of epidemic. Let us all join voices to chant 3 times. Vande Matram.
Vande Mataram.
Vande Matram.
Vande Mataram.
Vande Matram.
Vande Mataram.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thanks for patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful and knowledgeable lecture. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.